Greetings to you all. It's a happy Monday, magnificent Monday, and here we are.
It is. Yes, we are here.
And it's, it's still light out.
It is.
It's not dark. Spring has sprung.
No, spring is here.
Things are turning green.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and happy things are going on around here.
Yeah.
And we're glad to be here with
Brenda.
y'all. Who?
Brenda.
Brenda. Good to connect,
Yes.
Brenda. And
She's been on Fridays too, I think.
yep, she's on Fridays. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure she was on the last Monday, but she was certainly here on Friday. Friday was fun. We had a fun Shabbat all day long. We had a very exciting Shabbat with our neighbors and friends next door came over and celebrated Shabbat with us. And that was really cool. So we're gonna have somebody different all the time. Yeah. What do you think's new?
What's new?
Yeah.
Spring.
Spring is beautiful. Yeah. We're springing into spring. There's plantings where we're getting ready to grow some microgreens.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting. That there's such a cool thing about those things.
You're looking for a sermon, aren't you?
I am. It deserves a sermon. Microgreens deserve a sermon. Now, here's the reason why, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why is because in order to get those microgreens to grow with the super nutrients in them, you got to put bricks on top of them and shove them down. And there's no way in the world, in the dark, so there's no way in the world that those little tiny seeds, they're tiny seeds. They're not big seeds. And they eventually, what they do is they need to grow so that life goes into them and strengthens them and pushes that brick up. I mean, that just, when you look at it, it's just impossible. It's miraculous. And the result is when they push it up and you uncover it then, they're ready to, they haven't had the light yet, but they're ready to burst forth in growth. But at that point, when they're struggling so hard against the weight, that's when those nutrients are embedded in their very being,
I like that.
I'm telling you, there's a sermon there somewhere. I haven't quite found it yet, but
He's working on it. Coming to a pulpit near you.
yeah, I'm sure.
Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. So yes, we're gonna start growing microgreens around here, and people are reporting who are eating those microgreens. Real blood changes, blood
For the better.
for their blood work. Yes, changes for the better. Their medical people are surprised and so on. Stephen Denalis was the first one to tell us about it and how he was growing them and eating them and because he liked them, and they go really good in salad and soups and drinks,
Kinds of things,
vegetable drinks and so on. And he was doing all of that, and then he had to get some blood work done for an insurance thing, an insurance.
Yeah.
What is that called? Insurance what? Policy.
Physical policy.
Physical, yeah. And so he got his blood work done, and they said, "What are you doing?" And he says, What do you mean? You thought there was something wrong. They said, no, you got your blood, all your levels are perfect. What have you done? And the only thing he knew of was that he added them. But now, after the fact, that was we heard that back in September when we were with them in Connecticut. Now we've heard it from lots of places, and you can just Google it and find people saying the same
they've got
things.
all kinds of studies out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep, springtime.
Springtime.
Plant in your garden.
Plant in the garden.
Getting there.
Yep.
Can't put it in the ground yet. There's still
no,
out there.
no, not here. Yeah, those hills.
Keep it inside.
The hills around us still have snow. But we're doing pretty good around here. We've been working out outside almost every day. We do something
Yes.
and outside, and it's comfortable, you know.
It's been a busy spring.
Yep, a busy spring. We got 3 new girls on the property.
You're so excited.
I am excited.
I never thought you'd be this excited.
Well, those things are cute.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about. I should pull up I could do a picture, I think, on there. I don't know. I took some pictures of them today.
Uh-huh.
They're alpacas.
It's a good thing you clarified.
Which is not.
Good thing you clarified.
No, I was holding on just for fun,
Okay,
just to see how. I was gonna go longer, but
Were you?
then I thought no sense torturing everybody. Anyway, they're alpacas, and they're three girls. They're older girls too. They're not babies. But they are cute. They're those heads, you know, fluffy hair, and they look like a stuffed animal that moves and makes
Their
noise.
big googly eyes.
Yeah, their eyes, man. That's pretty funny.
Mm.
They're so curious. They're curious
Highly
about everything.
intelligent.
Yep, they look like, man, I got this world figured out, and I don't know what you are. You know. So anyway, we got 3 of them, and the reason why we have 3 of them is because they don't live healthily with less than that.
Right.
They have to have a community, kind of like us. Yeah, like us, you know. We got to have community in order to live healthily.
Yeah, you can't leave it by itself.
No,
Die.
and so that's the way they are.
They'll die if they're alone.
They'll die of their own.
Mm.
Yes. That's what my resident expert tells me. I know nothing of these things. The first time I ever touched one was yesterday. First time I was really in the presence of one. I've driven by and seen them out in the field. Like we saw a whole farm of those things, hundreds and hundreds of, I guess, out there in that place in South Australia. When we drove by, you said it's a famous farm for alpacas, and that's all I've ever seen is drive by,
right,
and pictures and videos.
You were in the thick of it this weekend.
But we were right in the middle surrounded by about 70 of them, all around us, all around us. There we were in the middle, in the muck and the mire. And we found three cute girls, and we bought them and brought them home. So, and we did that because we get an agricultural tax deduction on our property here if we're doing something like that. You know, there's gobs and gobs of things you can do, but to just plant a garden, that's not enough. You have to be doing it for a living. You have to be doing something to be living. And with the alpacas, we got their fiber. You know, the fiber thing is what you do. Right?
Right.
Am I talking right here? Okay.
Yeah.
These are the things I've learned from my resident expert. That's you.
Michelle would like to know what you've called them.
Oh, what they're called? Well, they got a bloodline.
They do. They have a pedigree.
So they got a pedigree. So they've already been named, but we've sort of messed with the names. Like one of them seems to be everybody's first favorite, and her name is Bella, and she's white, and she's the white one. She's the only one that's white, and she's fluffy, but she seems to be a girl in charge, you know. So I think Bella fits her. And then we got one that's got this long name. We can't tell you what. You can never remember that thing, but the last 4 letters are Tutu.
Actually, it's Tata.
Oh, it's Tata? Oh,
Tata.
Oh, Tata. Oh, Tata. Sorry, I thought it was Tutu. So it's Tata. So we're just gonna call her Tata. And then we've got Mandolin, and we're gonna stick a A in front of it because we have a friend whose name is a mandolin. We'll call her Mandy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they're fun. You watch our Facebook pages and so on. We'll start throw some. Yeah, especially if you watch mine because I got some good pictures today.
Tony says, "I can't believe you got more alpacas."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe she talked me into it.
Who talked who into it?
You talked me into it.
Right.
You used the tax assessor to do it.
I didn't say nothing.
Josh likes him too.
Josh,
he's in love with those
he
three.
Was, yeah.
They're cute. I'm telling you, they're cute. Their little fluffy heads. It's hard to look at them and not say this is not those things are like unreal.
Yeah.
And they got personality.
Yes, they
They're
do.
three individual personalities.
Mm-hmm.
We put them in with the horses, and the horses try to boss them. So, that's what they do. But,
It is, yes.
but they'll get along. Eventually, they'll be
along.
buddies,
Yes. Yes.
And then when you try to take them away, the horse will have a conniption fit because that's what is it, separation anxiety?
Yes, the separation anxiety.
Yeah. Hey, there's weird things going on in the world. You know what I mean? Weird stuff. And in the midst of it,
You mean weirder than us getting alpacas?
Yeah, that's weirder than that. Weirder than that. The 7 mountains of social structure: education, religion, family, business, government, arts and entertainment, and media. Education has to be taken over. Education is now in the United States. The Department of Education has become a child abuse center, meaning I'm saying and I'm accusing them of child abuse.
Absolutely.
Their established mores and lack of morals, and their push to separate them from their parents and steal parental authority is nothing less than child abuse. And it's got to come to a screeching halt, and that thing's got to come tumbling down. And everybody needs to get fired, and some of them need to go to jail. They need to go to prison for the rest of their life, if at all possible, because of what they've done to society. They've done worse than murder, worse than, because the pain and the suffering of the children that they have ruined already, their lives,
from their identity.
separated them from their God-given identity. Can we say God here?
Yes, we can.
Oh yeah, this is a God thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. We can do that, huh?
Yes.
You can't do that in school because they'll argue, well, God made you wrong, and all that stuff. Anyway, that's just a bandwagon. I tell you, it should hurt us to the core of our being, to the place of where we rise up and do something about it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, by the way, spiritually speaking. But arts and entertainment. Let's just leap to that. Arts and entertainment. Yep. Because we went to 2 movies in the last 2 weeks. Okay. And if you saw us were with us on Friday, right? It was Friday.
Oh, Friday morning. Yes.
Yeah, we talked about this. Okay. So we're gonna let's do his only son, and there you have the ad there. His only son. That thing is breaking box office for it's just doing awesome in all that. What am I talking about here? Do you know the other films, like the horror films and stuff? It's beating those.
Yes.
All the Hollywood stuff. Thank you. I was
stumbling over your words.
Yeah, well, sometimes the words aren't there. They're somewhere out in the I.A.M. And I got to run hard to catch them. So I need help from the people around me in every conversation, it seems. I'm sure that doesn't happen to any of you. At any rate, his only son is Abraham, and the sacrifice of Isaac on Mount Moriah.
Right.
And that thing is powerful.
It's good.
Wow.
It's really good.
It really hits your heart with the goodness of of what he has done for you. And Abraham's faith, no wonder he's our father of the faith, as the Apostle Paul called him in Romans and Corinthians. He is on purpose, man. That guy, I'm sure glad I didn't. There's only one Abraham, and I'm glad I wasn't him.
Too, also the faith of Isaac to actually get up on the altar.
Yeah, that's right. Knowing, I mean, he yielded.
Yeah.
Just like the Son of God. You know, and there, and at the end of it, of course, you get the whole picture, the boom, boom, you know, the boom of the lamb. God has provided us a lamb, and then boom, the lamb on the cross at Calvary. How cool is that?
Very cool.
It was really awesome. So go see it, get it. I might be out of the movies now because that was a couple weeks ago.
I think that one's still in.
You think it's still
the
in?
one that's not in, or you have to look for, is the other one.
Is the next one? Come out in Jesus' name. It's a.
Do you want to change the picture?
Yes, I should do that. Huh? I'll change the picture for you. This is Come Out in Jesus' name. And you see on, if you can look on your screen there and see that advertisement, that banner. There's a group of men and women there, and they're the ones that are in the movie. There's a whole team of them.
Yep.
And it's in a lot of ways, when you've been in ministry as long as we have, it's kind of funny. It really is. It's a funny story the only funny part about it is like, yeah, there's bad stuff, but it turns out so good that it's funny. You know, it's just because the victory is so cool. It's so
the victory
big.
is over religion.
Yeah, it's all over dead religion, and they were caught in it, admittedly, and became radical in the works of Jesus, and they found that so much of the works of Jesus was setting people free.
Right.
You know, and so it's if you look at all these movies and you're going there as a judge, who you really need to fix that inside you. I think it's a jealous spirit that does that. I've thought about it for years, and I think you could use some of the deliverance that's here. Maybe go to one of their meetings and get that religious spirit out of you, that you know, that jealousy. Because if somebody's doing something, it's like you got these.
People that are going to tell you how you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and you know, screaming heresy, 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 just like in the Chosen, those guys with from the Pharisees are talking heresy, 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 and they're calling Jesus a heretic, and they want him dead because of it. And it's no different today. You know, you've got all of the major ministries that are doing things around the world. You've got this other group of people telling what's wrong with them. Going through and finding what they're saying and turning it around and making it look as if it's evil, and and sometimes it's a slip of the tongue. I'm telling you, after 45 years of ministry, I've had plenty of slips of the tongue, and I say things I don't even mean, but I get all the heresy hunters are looking for me to say things wrong. You know, that's all they want is because of their controlling, manipulative spirits of jealousy and pride, ego, and vanity. That's all it is. It's not love.
Right.
You'd see what those ministries are doing for God, and so don't go to these things and pick apart. So, you know, the Chosen. I tell you, they have made so many things very, very real that the church has never taught, but it's real anyway. And they've made mistakes and admit it as they're digging deeply, and they admit to their mistakes. But you've got people that are screaming heresy, heresy, and lives are changing. How many millions of people have watched it?
Over 100 million.
Over 100 million people. And the testimonies we hear all the time is the heart moving, the insides of people moving and having deliverance because
Right.
it's the works of Jesus, you know.
Yes.
So anyway, that arts and entertainment thing, man, we're taking it over. It's all these are funded, crowdfunded
Believers.
by us. They're paid for by us.
Yeah.
You know, this movie is brought to you by you. Pay it forward, invest. They give you investment opportunities. Meaning investment, meaning you not only get your money back when the movie makes good, but you get your money back plus,
Right.
depending on how good the movie is, and so you gotta. It's a form of investment, and it's a really good one. It's a kingdom one.
Right.
So I would suggest you get involved in it, and let's tear that mountain of media down to a size, and let's put Jesus on that hillside, you know?
Right.
Right? So anyway, that's kind of...
Better investment than those pharmaceutical companies.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Use your pharmaceutical money and put it into the gospel of Jesus, you know, that's being portrayed there. Okay, so what else we got? I don't think we need to do any bad news. That the world's full of it.
I don't need to do any bad news.
No, I don't either. No.
I'd rather talk about the good news.
Yeah, there's some good news. There's lots of good news out there. Get our I.A.M app. You know, please get the app. We're building community there, but we're building
QR code
connection.
there for that
Do
if
I
you
have
want.
one? I thought.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay. Look at that. You can point your camera up on your phone up to that, and up will come a little link. You hit the link, and it'll take you to a web page that we have there for your device,
Right.
and get it. And then you can, if you sign in for the messages, which is at the top, the double
Top
little
right.
squares on top right. Go there and put your sign up with your name and email address, and you get to be a part of the connection. There's we've got groups. We have an If My People group, and
Right.
there a texting group is what it is. When I say group, I mean texting group, and so it's kind of fun. Anyway, it's connecting you with people that are like you, love Jesus like you do. You know. Okay, so with that said, let us. You can get the book. Here's the book cover. That's the book on Amazon. You can also go to. That's the wrong book we're showing there, but there's the right book. Voila. If My People by Wayne and Stephanie, and we believe in this message. We really do, and we're just founded on it, you know. Hallelujah.
Yep.
Okay, so I thought today would be a good time to go through some scriptures about warfare. Let me make a statement about war, okay? I know y'all don't like war, but war isn't your fault. War sometimes is over you, meaning the war happens because of you in varying degrees. War is something that has been upon the planet for a terribly long time, and as people, none of us have ever had the power and the authority to start a war. We don't start wars. We start arguments and that sort of thing. That's not war, okay? I'm talking war.
You're talking about a real war.
I'm talking about real wars. And none of us has that ability, and yet it's so big and so overwhelming that we get caught up in it, and we end up fighting in those wars, and we end up protecting something that we want to keep in those wars. And most of the time, those who are doing it are propagandists, and they don't tell you the truth. It's fake news isn't something new. It didn't just start in your generation. It's been going on forever, and pretty soon we're fighting wars. And I remember back in Love, Joy, Peace days of the 60s, the statements of some of the hippies and so on would say, why can't we just learn to get together? And why don't the people of one nation who's fighting against the other nation, why don't we get us peoples together? Because neither one of us want to fight,
Right.
But we can never break through to do that because they've also made laws that say we can't do that. They put up bamboo curtains and iron curtains and all kinds of curtains between us, and then they tell us how our cultures will never match, and the other ones want to steal everything we got and all that stuff, and it's on both sides,
Yeah.
And so somewhere along the line it becomes political and it's stupid. All right. Such is the problem with war. You're in the war whether you like it or not. And when it comes to the warfare of the spirit, you're in it whether you want it or not. And passive-aggressive Christianity does not win the war in the heavenlies. All right, there are spiritual battles of great magnitude that are happening right now, greater than any of the time that I have seen in my many years of my decades of ministry. I've never seen in teaching and being a part of wars in nations. I've never seen it like it is today. What is unleashed is what Rick Joyner saw in his book. I can't remember the name of the book, but he talks about the hordes of hell. It was a vision that he had.
Yeah.
And I've thought about it numerous times over the last couple of years and realized how that vision, if you know that, put it in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember the name of that book. It was his first really popular book. And he talks about, he describes the hordes of hell that were hard to imagine in those days when it first came out, in the late 80s or early 90s, something like that. And but it's as obvious as all get out. Now you go back and read that book and that's
It's
what
all the
today
same.
is what's happening right now, and that sort of thing. Well, there's also some scriptures that have been watered down by religion, and because it doesn't fit with the modus operandi of religious leaders and the controls that religious leaders want and the behavior and so on.
Punch when they interpret it that way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And it's not a bad interpretation.
No.
And it's accurate.
And it can be
on
very
one
accurate.
level.
On a level, that's right. Yeah.
But they have multiple levels.
Yes.
The scriptures do.
As does all the scripture.
And so when you only interpret it on this level, you're missing all of the other gold that's there.
Yeah. It's absolutely right.
The weapons.
Yeah.
You miss the punch. You miss the authority. You miss the fact that we are in a war.
Mm-hmm.
And we have weapons that are useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 Corinthians 10, 3-7 says this: For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh. King James Version says, and that's the way I first, memorized it. They're not carnal, and that has to do with carne, meat. They're not of the flesh, but divinely powerful for the destruction of fortresses. I say, we don't walk in the flesh, we do not war. Though we walk in the flesh, rather, we do not war according to the flesh. So that puts us in the war. Whether you like it or not, you're in the war. But the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but they are divinely powerful to the destruction of fortresses, and that's what you're supposed to be doing, is tearing down fortresses, strongholds, tearing down, blowing down strongholds with your very voice and your authoritative voice that he gives you. For we are destroying speculations and every lofty thing that raised up against the knowledge of God, and we are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Now, religiously, we've been taught over and over from pulpit after pulpit after pulpit that this is all about us and the wars on the inside of us, and it's really not a war out there. It's really just a war of our flesh against spirit, and we need to learn how to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ, and so on. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Please don't get me wrong here. Please understand and rightly divide what I'm saying. That is true, because the war is there too. And in fact, it starts there. But it doesn't end there. Let's look at it as as to what's going on in this world out there. Do you think there's some fortresses, some strongholds out there? We can't penetrate that stuff with intellect. There's nothing intellectual about changing your sex.
Right.
Because you don't like the way God made you. Right. There's nothing intellectual about the rest of the garbage. And you can't sit with woke people and try to convince them of anything that they have now suddenly set themselves in such a stronghold of belief system and anti-God, hating God and hating everything about Elohim because he's creator, et cetera, okay? That's just the blatant truth of it.
Right.
Is there exaggeration there? I don't believe that there is. I think if you cannot see the wickedness of where it's going, I might be saying things here that are a little bit ahead of my time, in the sense of a little bit ahead of this moment right now, but it's headed that way. It's going to get worse and worse and worse, okay? It's getting downright unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, so now when we look at these destroying speculations, they have put out speculations. Every lofty thing that raises up against the knowledge of God. Now, it's separate you from the authority of your parents in the education system. Let me convince you, don't you have feelings that, yeah, you're a boy, but don't you kind of have feelings that you ought to have been a girl? And we can help you in that. We got drugs, we got scalpels, we've got all kinds of things to help. But don't tell your parents, and we've got the law behind us in it. We're against your parents telling you what sex you are.
Right.
Okay? That is a speculation and a lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of Elohim, who said, light be, and there's light, who made us, caused us to be fearfully and wonderfully made, every single one of us. He made them man and woman. And so we have knowledge of against the knowledge of God here, the place of where you know God. We are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Now, we all know that this is some real unintelligent thinking going on.
It's not logical.
No logic, and it's painfully unintelligent.
But you just got through saying it has nothing to do with your mind.
No, that's right. I did. I mean, no, it does not have anything. It doesn't have as much to do with your mind as you think.
And so, if it has nothing to do with your mind, it shouldn't make sense.
And when I say nothing to do with your mind, realize this, that the beginning of it, the enemy that is revealed is not from your mind, but it does control your mind.
Right.
Right? It comes against, these things come against your mind, but they come against those minds out there that are coming up with ignorant stupidity.
But if Scripture says, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. It's not if a man thinks in his mind, so he is.
Right.
So to get to your mind, they have to go through your heart.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
They've got to get down there.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you start with those questionings of who am I and who made me and what is my real identity, that's not a matter of the mind in your head. That's a matter of your heart.
Yep. And so that's where we're going. We're going to get to the place of where we can.
Did I jump?
No,
Okay.
no. You made us all say. I mean, everybody was thinking that in the first place, you know. So yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So we're taking every thought captive. Those thoughts out there, we're captive. We're capturing them. And comparing them to the obedience of Christ. And we compare those thoughts out there to the thoughts of your master, that the master who changed your life. You know, like Miriam Magdalene said in the Chosen, I was one way, and now I'm different.
Yes.
And he was what was in between.
Yeah.
He changed everything, right?
Yep.
So we're ready to punish all disobedience. Did you hear that?
But it was Mary who lost her identity because she was calling herself Lily.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jesus went to her, he didn't go after her mind. He went to her heart.
Yes. He called her by her name. That's cool. That's actually we could probably do all of this on her. You know what you see in the Chosen
Right.
is
Whether or
I
not
didn't think
that's
about it till
exactly how
just
it
now.
happened.
Yeah, that we don't know how
We don't know necessarily how it happened, but in that depiction is very. It's a good picture of how we meet Jesus.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah. Yeah, her name Lily is Lilith.
Right.
Lilith is a demon. It's a it's a principality. It's the name of a principality.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a pretty wicked spirit. And we are ready to punish all disobedience whenever your obedience is complete. So therefore, we're gonna this here's a dividing line whereby we're not going to be moved and decide, okay, this is okay. It's all okay. Everybody's okay here, and it's all okay. No, it's not okay. It just isn't okay. And there's a statement here of being ready to punish that disobedience. Now, are we punishing people? No. We're rescuing people.
Right.
We're punishing those powers and principalities. When Jesus, in Luke chapter 9, he calls his 12 together and he gives them power and authority over all sickness, to heal diseases, and to cast out demons. Out they went, casting out demons.
Right.
They came back with the reports of the authority they had in the name of Jesus. Then the 70 in Luke chapter 10, verse 1, he calls the 70 together. They've got power and authority, and they're to go cast out demons and heal the sick.
Right.
And they come back with joy. That's the testimony, and joy, saying, Master, even demons are subject to us in your name.
Right.
Okay, so we got to realize that the power and the authority that he gives unto us isn't only to change us, it's to change us into warriors so that we might set people free.
Right. Yeah.
And there's nothing like seeing the bound come free of their bondages, because they truly are bound. And it's in every way it's shortening their life. It's making their life, however long it is, miserable.
Right.
And it is just, that's what's happening. And our destruction, our punishment is against those spiritual forces of wickedness that are doing that to people.
Right. It's not about the people.
We want the people free.
Right. Take away their ability to harm.
Right. Our punishment isn't about the people, but our movement, our actions, our state of warfare is about the people.
Right.
It's about loving the people to the place where you get them out of the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom
of light.
of the Son whom he loves, you know. Okay, so we are looking at things as they are outwardly, and we need to look at things as they are spiritually. And we need to get a spiritual view of things. Well, I don't want to go too far in that. Well, I think it's too late for that. You better get too far in it. Because just about the time you get too far, it's caught up with you. Evil has caught up to where you are. That's how fast it's moving today. I wouldn't worry about getting caught up into it and going too far. I really wouldn't. And I'm sure you've got people around you like us that'll help you. Maybe draw back and say, whoa. Let's take a breath here. Take a breath. Let's look at this thing and start at it in a more effective way. All right. Romans 12, 1 through 2. Again, always about us on the inside of us, and what we're suggesting to you is maybe it has another level of understanding. Maybe it's got the spiritual level of understanding, which also happens to fit in context with the writing of the Apostle Paul. And we're using the Apostle Paul in both of these first scriptures, and we're going to change to John here in a minute. Therefore, I urge you, Romans 12:1, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. You know, I've heard so many hundreds of explanations of presenting your body a holy sacrifice and what that literally means, and there is no such thing. And I don't believe you can go back as far as you want to in tapes and videos of me. I don't think one time I ever tried to explain that, because it's not explainable in the physical. All right? But people try to tell you how to sacrifice your body.
Right.
Okay? And it's usually works mentality. Tied into it is dot all your I's, cross all your T's, according to the our spiritual culture in this church. And that's the way you do it. And it's not the way this was written or for the purposes, and it takes the power of victory away from us. Okay? It really does. He says to present your bodies a living, holy sacrifice. That means your body is going to be set aside, because you're fearfully and wonderfully made, set aside for the works of God. That's what makes it holy. And you're going to go to work against the wickedness that is out there in that world, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. All right, now, and we do not conform. He says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed. There's a metamorphosis that goes on here. By the renewing of your mind. Now the mind is being renewed. Now many of us have been taught that you got to fix your brain, and we teach, no, you got to fix your heart and make sure that heart of yours is in charge, not your brain. Because when your heart is in charge and in place, your brain will follow. It will learn to follow your heart. And the next thing you know, you're hearing from God.
Right.
Because he doesn't talk to your brain, he talks to your heart. Ask the children, where's Jesus? In my heart. Well, where's he talking from then?
In my heart.
In my heart. Come on, this ain't rocket science. It's how it really works.
Right.
He's not wanting your brain, he wants your heart. But your brain is going to learn to follow. And when your brain follows, their brains out there begin to have, they're affected by that.
Right.
They will be affected by that, I should say. They're not are, but they will be. All right. So that we're transformed by the renewing of the mind, of your mind, that is the metamorphosis of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. Okay? Now we're going to get to some down to the heart of the measure, because heart of the matter, because that's what we're talking about here. We're coming down to a deeper level again.
Right.
1 John 2:15. Do not love the world nor the things of the world. Now, there's people that have forever, for the last 2,000 years since John wrote that, have struggled over the,
For God so loved the world.
yes. How is it that God so loves the world, and then John says you're not supposed to love the world? Okay? And apostles from the very beginning have set it right, set it into its place and its position. And I want to do that for you right now, because this is a very spiritual matter. God so loved the world, meaning the people of the world. Do not love the world, meaning the spirits that are controlling and manipulating the world. We would call it worldliness. You know, that's
Right.
a word that's come up, and it's apropos. All of the stuff that goes on there. Okay, if anyone loves that worldly stuff, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, now here's where we're getting down to: the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. All right, let me describe what's happening here. The demon powers of the spirit of the kingdom of darkness, those rebellious sons of God, Genesis chapter 6, they are empowered, but yet they have no ability to do anything. What Job? Yeah. Well, of course he serves you. The way you protect him.
Right.
Okay, that tells you a whole lot right there about what they can and cannot do.
Yeah.
All right, so, but how do they get so many followers? How do they get so many people that are completely sold out to their irresponsible, illegitimate processes of worldliness as a whole, of sin in the world, of thinking in the world that is against God, hating of God, and so on? How do they get so many people to be bought and sold in it?
Like that.
Okay? Well, it comes right down to this: for the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. Notice that word lust. That word lust is appetite. It's superimposed, indulged in